As promised, we're being joined by our State House insiders tonight. It's Trav Robertson and Dave Wilson. Guys, thank you so very much.
Thanks, JR.
All right, so 33.5 million people watched last night's Democratic presidential debate. That's a lot of people to watch a debate.
It was entertaining. It was entertaining television.
It was fantastic.
I mean, it's kind of like the rough and tumble of what we're used to in South Carolina politics really coming into play in Nevada, of all places.
It was an actual debate.
So next week, it's South Carolina's turn.
Oh, aren't you happy? Oh, my word. Trav, the reason why he's the chair.
Trav, you're chair of the State Democratic Party. This is expected to be very similar to what we saw last night because Bloomberg is going to be on stage, right?
Well, we're anticipating him being on stage. Right now, we're not 100% sure who all will be on stage and who doesn't. Will not, but we're expecting the same thing. And it will be do or die time for several of the candidates, and so they may even be more aggressive than what we saw last night.
And it will be followed up by President Trump. There's word that he's coming to South Carolina, and I bet the first thing he says when he gets off the plane, everything you heard 2 days ago, I endorse every single thing because they're beating themselves up to a pulp, and he's just coming through and touting everything that he has been doing over the last 3.5 years.
As much as I hate to admit it, it's smart political strategy on his part to come to every early primary state and have an event.
Right.
It helps him nullify the dialogue that's being out.
There's some talk that Republicans are being encouraged to vote for one candidate or another in the Democratic primary as to determine the winner in South Carolina. What are you hearing about?
Well, I think they call it Operation Chaos, but I think that all of us know an effort like that would cost hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million or $2 million. And one of the charms and the great things about our state is we have an open primary system. You have to look at voting patterns and trends of individuals in order to get them to vote in our primary. But I've never seen anything that systematic. But there's going to be an answer that the Republicans are going to have to put forth when you see a moderate Republican and an independent swing voter vote in our primary because they're tired of the immoral, anti-Christian behavior of this president.
No, what they're really trying to do, Trav, is they're trying to do everything they can to keep the chaos moving forward because, as we saw last night, as entertaining as it was showing, at least from the Republican standpoint, there is not a lot of cohesiveness and unity among the Democrats right now, and that's what the president's trying to build upon.
That's just simply not true. I've got two sisters, a mom and a dad. We fight like hell and don't disagree on everything, but we're still family. The Democratic Party will unite behind our nominee, and we will support that individual to defeat an anti-Christian, immoral president, Donald Trump. And the Republicans are going to have some explaining to do when you see a larger number of individuals voting in the Democratic presidential primary. And the only way they can do it is to say, oh, we created this Operation Chaos to do it. Well, it's just silliness.
But, Dave, what are you hearing? Is there a coordinated effort by Republicans to go out and vote?
There are certain areas in the state, and I'm going to call them the further on the right side, as we've talked about off the air. There's a group of folks who are saying, listen, we don't really have anything else to do in this primary because there is no primary for the president. Why don't we turn around and use that voice? And there's a group of them, especially out of the upstate in the Spartanburg, Greenville, Pickens, Oconee, and those upper parts of the state where they're working on a concerted effort. Whether it really gets any traction is going to be something that you have to tell.
And let's remember, it was the Republicans who love democracy and freedom that canceled their Republican presidential primary, excluding Mark Sanford from an opportunity to seek the Republican nomination.
No, that's what it did was it excluded Mark Sanford.
Freedom and democracy
it excluded Mark Sanford for going out and getting any more attention that he didn't need to have in a presidential debate where he was doing a great job of talking a lot and not really getting anything else done because he wasn't getting traction, and they knew that.
All right, let's talk about make or break because I believe Joe Biden believes this is his firewall. The latest polls show he's still in front in South Carolina, but the gap is closing. Tom Steyer has basically said that South Carolina is important for him to keep going. So, Trav, you got two Democratic candidates here, I believe betting the ranch, betting the farm on South Carolina right now.
Well, there's no question. I mean, we've seen a unique situation where there was no clear winner coming out of Iowa. New Hampshire was nip and tuck. We don't know what will happen in Nevada. Some say, we've seen reports that it may be as confusing as Iowa, which means everybody comes into South Carolina. I saw Change Research did a poll yesterday. It had Biden at 23, Bernie at 23, Steyer at 20, Buttigieg at 5. That's a virtual and statistical tie when in the
And
field
so,
of polling.
from the Republican standpoint, JR, that means this. That's great. Because they're all going to have to keep going. They're all going to have to spend their money. And they're all going to start running out of steam at some point in time because they're not going to be consolidating themselves behind a single candidate, as you have seen in
But
other
they're all
elections.
going to be talking about the failures of an immoral anti-Christian president.
Which is the
Donald
third time
Trump.
he's used immoral anti-Christian, which is very interesting, the use of that continuing language. Folks at home, this is the thing that you have to start paying attention to, is the language that's being used to describe the president. Not anything about the growth of jobs in the African American community.
We have seen the largest stagnation of
Climate-
middle class and lower wages than at any point in the history
We
of the
see
United
more
States. of
people
America.
working right now
That
than
is
has
an
ever
that is an
before
inaccurate
in our
falsity.
lifetime.
That is not true. That simply is
Take a
not the
look
case.
at the statistics,
You are not
Trav.
including statistics of individuals who cannot get jobs or can't find jobs. You are manipulating numbers to carry an
Look at the-
ideology and
look
to
at
create
the
the false
numbers.
perception. The fact
Because-
is that you have a president who acts anti-Christian when he allows babies to be taken away from their mamas and thrown in cages. Where does it say in the Bible that it is okay to do that?
When
And he
you've got
claims
candidates who are
religion.
saying we will take babies out of mothers' wombs, that is completely
That's
different.
right. Okay, I'm sorry. You're pro-birth, but not pro-life.
That is
because you
not
don't care about them
Trav.
once they're born.
If you take a
The
look at the
fact is
crisis,
that you
Trav,
have
if
a
you
president
take a
who
look
is
at the
claiming
crisis
to be.
pregnancy centers.
You have a president who claims the moral religious high ground, but acts in the complete opposite of what Christianity teaches and preaches.
Yet,
And
if you
he
look,
is an
Trav,
immoral president.
If you look at
He
the
is
work
an
that's
immoral
being done by the pro-life community
he
to
is an
support,
immoral president.
and
who
you'll notice right
believes
there,
that women
that
are
right there
objects
is the
to be
fact that they
fawned
do
over.
not want
He
to
is a-
discuss this issue
The fact-
because that's the facts, Trav.
We have to put the brakes on it right
Oh,
there.
come on, we're just starting.
Our time is over. Trav, Dave, guys, thank you. And again,
Thank
the
you.
Democratic presidential debate next Tuesday night in Charleston.
Yep.
What time?
The doors open at 7. It starts at 8.
Starts at 8, and you'll see it right here on
CBS.
News 19. All right, stay with us. There's more coming up in just a moment.